I mean, how do I describe it? It's
Bold.
A light.
Black.
unapologetically black.
Very funny, amusing.
Caring.
You give great advice from a different perspective. Passionate.
Free.
Vulnerable.
A creative.
Sexy.
My girl is lit as fuck.
Always ready to twerk a little something.
Genuine, very genuine.
Resilient.
Like sixth sense, otherworldly. If you know, you know.
It's so vibrant, baby. Hello, everyone, and welcome to So Vibrant, the place where music, history, and culture collide. I am your cultural storyteller and award-winning host, Lady AC. So, genuinely, I am a very optimistic person. Like, I really do strive to see the best of everything, the beauty of everything, just overcoming in every sense of the way. But that doesn't mean that I don't worry. That doesn't mean that I don't fear anything. That doesn't mean that, I don't have bad days or have things that make me question or doubt. Because I think sometimes that's the assumption when people meet optimistic people or people who look on the brighter side of everything, or even, they look at the cup half full, all those analogies. There is an assumption that, nothing can affect them. Nothing can bother them. And just want to be honest, that it simply ain't true. Because just to be real, vulnerable, and honest with y'all, they almost got me. Ooh, they almost got me. And when I say they, I'm talking about, these systems, this political climate, these events that we're watching unfold daily, from these different genocides to this uptick of violence, this uptick of people literally just doing evil and just having fun with it. And really ruining people's lives and not even thinking twice about it. Or even just the worry of people trying to not only just survive, but just trying to go to the next step or just stay afloat where they are. All that, to witness all that, to see all that, to experience some of that, that is so overwhelming. I mean, there's so many words to describe it, but just to simplify it, it simply just can be too much at times. But, with using my own tools of support, whether it's talking to people I love or meditating, or honestly just sitting quiet in my thoughts, a word kept coming to me. Sankofa, Sankofa, Sankofa. Like, it just kept coming back and back and back. Ironically, it just kept coming to my mind. And for anybody who doesn't know, Sankofa is a tweet word from the Akan people of Ghana that simply means to go back and get, or to go fetch and get. And it's a principle or symbolizes simply going back to remembering your past so it can help you in the present and move to the future, or simply just move forward. And that's what inspired today's episode. So we're going to take our first musical break, and then we'll dive into this vulnerable conversation. Okay, be right back.
There is so much we complain about. Today, tomorrow, it's not promised. We should be grateful. It's time to wake up.
So much you wanna get done. Oh, here comes another setback. Oh, one thing after another. Oh, then you're getting in your own way. Oh, Lying, complaining won't make it better. You just got to get out your head. You gotta get up and don't look back. It's time to wake up. Stand up where you ground. Stay up, goals can't come back around. Yeah, wake up, don't look down. Stay up high, they gotta see you now. Wake up. Why you standing around? What you waiting for? You're the key. You choose to do it your way, making your own fate. Oh, and don't you blame the world, oh no. And if you never give it a go, I know, 'cause that person used to be me. Until I finally open my eyes, it's time to wake up. Stand up where you ground. Where you ground. Stay up. Goals can't come back around. Can't come around here no more. Wake up, don't look down. Oh yeah. Stay up high, they gotta see you now. Wake up.
They say the head wearing the crown is the heaviest yet, but I ain't never had 5 medals or bezel baguette. I was the last born scion to an empire regret. Him with an armor plate of steel and tears outlined on the crest. Grew up in a place with dope boys and Tolstoy in a set. War and peace fighting for prime time control of the set. So innocence was a luxury, I'm the luckiest get. And the odds were never in our favor, so we were stuck with the debt. But I fought to come a long way from dark days and lost hope. They told me all it takes is one little spark and we all told. So I stay looking for the light, keep them watch on the Hondo till my ambition catch a fire like a whaler and bipolar. Now the every win come with a little skin in the game. My scar tissue will road map through the harsh terrain, but I never got the lesson if the test of me calls refrain. Made the old me no match for the warrior that I became. Right.
Stand up where you ground. You got to stand up, yeah, yeah. Wherever goals can't come back around. Can't come back here no more. Wake up, don't look down. Don't you look down, no. Stay up high, they gotta see you. Stay up.
And that was Legacy featuring Sarah with Wake Up. Love those two powerful voices right there. And I love they combined and created that amazing song, and definitely creates the energy that we need to usher in today's conversation. Because there's so many different conversations happening and discussions and sometimes arguments and debates regarding all the different things each of us are witnessing in the climate of this world and honestly within our own lives. And as I also stated before the break, this in meditating on that for me, in what to say and what to feel and what to, even when it came to this podcast, what to talk about, a word kept coming to me, and that word was Sankofa. And just to reiterate, Sankofa simply translates to go back and get. And so the question then becomes, what exactly am I going back to reach for? And typically that word symbolizes going back and getting the information, going back and getting the history, going back and getting the knowledge that was passed down to you through, whether it is through, spiritually, whether it is through your experiences, whether it's through, memories, or, just knowledge that you've acquired from learning, or reading, and then using that in the present day or in present situations in order to create the outcomes and change that you want to see, or that you want to move to, or want to create in your life. With witnessing all these negative, evil, hurtful, dangerous things, it made me think back to a show I did on the radio, because also this week it was National Radio Day, and so I kind of went back on a little memory lane kind of thing and saw like my old shows and pictures and things when I was at WRFG in Atlanta. Shout out to them, by the way. And in doing that, I went back and looked at some of my old shows, and one show in particular really stuck with me. And it was a show I did called The Beauty of Negativity. Now, I did this show back and I was in my 20s when I made this show. So at that time, I was going through this space where, or the trend at that time was, everybody was like, oh, good vibes only, positive vibes only, don't want negativity, don't want no negative energy, bad energy. That was when that was starting to become a thing. And during that time, I was so aggravated by that, because, y'all blame everything on negativity as if negativity is inherently bad, or negativity inherently translates or means something bad or something horrible or something wrong. And it made me kind of think about, look at it from a scientific kind of view, especially when we look at the concept of energy. In science, which is based in fact and can be studied on and can be researched, energy can only move in 3 different ways. It's positive, it's negative, and it's neutral. It can't stop, it can't be turned off, it can't be moved. It can simply be positive, negative, or neutral. That's it. And not only coexist, but then simply cannot function without one another. Look at the concept of a battery. You have to have the negative charge, the positive charge, and if they both work and you have them lined up together, matched together, they make whatever you put it in work. So simply taking that information of that and literally applying it to what we see now, all this coexists and happens together. And it's meant to. Now, with me saying that, I want to make it very clear. I'm not saying that bad things should happen to you. Negative things should happen to you. That evil should prosper and all these different things. I'm just simply saying that they just exist. They already are just here. Now, can our decisions and choices and actions lead to these things or influence these things? Sure. But in no inherent way of us existing does that cause negative things to happen. But it serves a purpose. And the major purpose of it is to show the existence that the opposite can happen to and flourish as well in that same space. To kind of bring that information to this episode, I kind of wanted to dive into that a little bit and apply it to what we're seeing now. Like, for instance, one of the concepts that I argued about negativity being beautiful was that the concept of the rose covered glasses versus the reality check. That when you lean into positivity too much, it can actually become toxic. That you ignore the reality that some people do have it rough, that some people do can't just automatically solve their problems. They're going to need more assistance. They're going to need more help. Not everybody can go outside and feel better when they're having a bad day. Not everybody can, treat themselves or give themselves self-care in that way when they're trying to survive. So that advice won't work. You can really love somebody and do for that person, but the way that you're doing for them may not serve them or serve their needs at that time. That's not inherently bad, but that also that doesn't help them either. And how many times do we typically dive into that, not realizing that we are denying the experience of people? So negativity allows us to understand a sense of grounding, a sense of taking off, like I said, the analogy of the rose-covered glasses, looking at life through, just this only positive lens or only one to have that. It gives us the reality check to see things for what they are. As I mentioned in last week's episode, the privilege that has created this illusion that, we're this democracy, that, everybody has these rights and that, everybody's a citizen and everybody should be treated with humanity. But the truth is that has not been the case for a lot of people in this country. And because there is a general consensus that people believe that happens, nobody takes the time to really hear people when they're starting to talk about their experience. Like, for the example I gave, it's interesting to call ourselves a democracy when the way this country continually treated indigenous people, all while building said democracy. I mean, even on the Black experience, being a Black woman in America and learning the history. I mean, there are still to this day Black people getting killed by this government, by these officers, by these vigilantes who believe the propaganda and who internalize the racism and internalize the oppressive systems that make people think they can control their actions and make them act right because they're beneath them. But yet, we're a democracy? How can we entertain that idea? So we have to address it. We have to fix it. But we can't do that unless we see what the issue is, unless we see what we're really dealing with here. The next thing about the beauty of negativity that I have is that it makes us human. The fact that on just a personal level that every day is not going to be a good day, understanding how much of a blessing it is to still be able to feel bad, to feel worried, to feel concerned, to feel joy, to feel happiness, to feel anything, honestly, just to feel. Because what happens and what these oppressive systems are trying to do is they're trying to continually overwhelm us with bad information, with wrong information, with misinformation, but then also allow us to see these damaging propaganda and images of violence and torture and sorrow, or people struggling and crying and all these different kind of things. They're allowing us to see that over and over and over and over again and happen so rapidly that is really trying to get people to a point where we're desensitized, where we normalize it. And that's been a very big problem, especially when it comes to the anti-intellectualism, just wrong thoughts and ideologies and just methods and actions that we're seeing people engage in. But the truth is, None of this is normal. This is not how we should be living. This is not how we should be dealing with things. This is not what we should be putting up with. Negativity allows us the freedom to understand that and to embrace that. And honestly, in a way, it kind of feels like making that light switch come on, being like, no, something's wrong here and I gotta fix it. I gotta address that. I gotta move. I gotta make some shake. I gotta respond differently. Everybody was talking about, the Cat Williams interview, he did, Club Shay Shay, how it shook up the world and exposed all these different people. But I'm like, maybe, and I hope I don't sound like a conspiracy theorist at this point when I say this, but what if it wasn't just applying to celebrities? Wasn't it just applying to the gossip or the trends or social media or just on that surface level? Like, what if the year of truth, the year of the reckoning of everything being uncovered, that's what we're going through? That we're at the point where the lie can't keep going. And what we're realizing is that things have been a mess for a very long time, and now everybody is exposed to that. Not just certain folks, not just the people experiencing, not just the people who are pressed by it, but everybody is able to see everything as it is, and we can no longer ignore it. I think about what happened most recently with all that mess going on in Texas about the gerrymandering and the redistricting of the state so that the Republican representatives there can have more House seats and have more leadership and control. And they're ultimately doing that to appease the federal government so they can have more control. The Democrats of that state decided in their way to fight back that they were going to leave, which broke the decorum of that court. Because in order for them to make that vote, in order for them to approve the redistricting, they had to have the full court available. They didn't necessarily need their vote, but they needed their presence to make the vote. And so simply with the Democrats leaving, that delayed it. And they're trying to get this stuff done. If y'all haven't noticed, a lot of the things that they are doing this quick. They are on a timeline. They are on a deadline trying to get all this stuff passed, all this stuff done. And it makes you wonder why they doing that. But if I go back and look at history, they're literally following the same playbook that they were doing when they was creating this country in the first place. Because what's the difference in outside of obviously, modernization and it doing it from a legal sense, but the gerrymandering and redistricting that they're doing reminds me simply of the redlining and the creating of the suburbs that they did back in the day to separate the different races. Going back even further, when they were doing all these different land treaties and all these different land arrangement, manifest destiny, all this stuff that they kept doing with the indigenous people to gain more and more and more of the land, and then kept making these empty promises to the indigenous people that they would keep this and ultimately end up killing them off, killing their way of life, destroying their livestock, all this kind of stuff, and literally pushing them to the outskirts in the foremost corners of the country. What's the difference in that? For me, when I look at it through the lens of Sankofa, there isn't much. They're literally just following that same plan. The issue is now that more of us are being exposed to that. More of us are witnessing that. Which means more of us have to start acting and really start finding ways to combat this. What I will say at first, I did applaud the Democrats for at least trying, because that showed that they were trying. But to see them not stick together on that, because some of them decided to go back to the state. And then when they got to the state, some of them decided to fall in line with the demands of the Republicans and sign those little makeshift permission slips that they had. And of all of them, only one person chose to stand up against it. And that person was a black woman. And then that made me feel another way, because why is it always us, black people, having to put our bodies, our thoughts, our minds, our essence on the line for change to happen? Why are we always set up to be the sacrificial lambs in a lot of these cases, for people to really see the wrong and the need for change? Because that's why it makes me understand a little bit and give more grace to people who, chose to step back and say they don't want to participate, they don't want to do anything, they don't want to protest, because they see that happen again and again and again. How we get put on the front line only to, when we need that same support, no one shows up but us. So in response to that, the solution is to find the best way to safely navigate the fight. Or honestly, kind of re-strategize how we approach the fight. And I did say this on Talking Shit with a Purpose. I said that we can afford to just soft life our way through this. We can afford to just sit this one back. Rest, yes. Take a break, absolutely. But the fight, the work still continues.
Can sleep and wonder, come stumbling. I made a blunder, I dreamed again, awoken by thunder, a flash of spring, could even now muster an ode to win. If I leave and I lose it, then I'll be a fool to the end. Step through the moment again. Hey, I'm helpless. If I leave and I lose it, then I'll be the same that I've been. Can't help but ruin or win. Hey, I'm helpless. If it all ends the same, then why take the fast lane? The fast lanes. If it all ends the same, then I'll take the long way. The long way. The lotus is calling. I know I can't speak, so I'll make a promise that I'll try and keep. Mr. Lazy, hey, I can't see the hope a note to win made me feel. Yeah. If I leave and I lose it, then I'll be a fool to the end. Step through the moment again. Hey, I'm helpless. If I leave and I lose it, then I'll be the same that I've been. Can't help but ruin or win. Hey, I'm helpless. Hey, hey. All up inside me, I'd hate to survive and feel like I live by the day. Soulless, I'll wait by the fire, please. So hot that it burns me. This pain just might make me leave. If I leave and I lose it, then I'll be a fool to the end. Step through the moment again. Hey, I'm helpless. If I leave and I lose it, then I'll be the same that I've been. Can't help but ruin or win. Hey, I'm helpless. If it all ends the same, then why take the fast lane? The fast lane. If it all crazy.
And that was Leem with Ode to Win. Unfortunately, with the experience of us and how this country treats Black people, we are disproportionately affected by all the decisions, actions, and choices that they make in order to keep ourselves safe. And that goes back to my episode that I talked about doing the work. But doing your work, whether it is through education, whether it is being on the front line and organizing and protesting, whether it is learning law and practicing law, whether it is learning language and be able to teach people the language, whether it is mastering in a craft that can help people, whether that is, being the person in charge of feeding people who are at the process of giving water to people who are, standing on the front line or standing in the poll lines and just giving encouragement on that ways, whether you are the artist that has to create because the negative exists for the positive to come through. Because on the other end of all this happening, we're also seeing a very large, almost kind of renaissance of creativity come out of this. There are so many people now diving into their craft, diving into their talents, reconnecting with themselves on levels of learning how they can add to this world, that it shows that there is a reality that we can overcome all this. We can fight back against this. And it made me think of a video I saw while scrolling just randomly. And it said, what if I told you that we would win? How would you move? How would you act? How would you fight then? How would you carry yourself then? Knowing that if you put your all right now, knowing that if you connected with yourself and connected with others and really look for different resources to build up yourself and build up different people and build up your communities by adding the talents and the gifts and the choices and the decisions that only you are meant to do. The beautiful part of this negative moment that we are seeing is it's showing us the possibility of what can happen when we come together or when you get connected with what you are meant to do and can do with that. Because I don't know if it's not clear to anybody by now. We cannot afford to no longer sit on the sidelines. We can no longer afford to be idle. Like, we have to now have no choice but to do the work. That's what the negativity is showing us. We have absolutely no more time to just doubt and give in to that. We have no more time to be petty with them. We have no more time to follow the rules. We got to rewrite these. Because guess what? Look at them. They rewriting them like hell. To get their agendas across. To get their plans in motion. From literally rewriting our history. Trying to discard it. Throw it away. Really restricting how we move. How we live. Buying up all the property so we wonder if we'll be able to buy our own houses or live in apartments or afford the price of eggs, all this stuff. They're doing that. They're breaking every rule, breaking everything down. So why don't we, while it's falling down, start to create what works for us? Create what works for you. Create what works for your communities. Create what can work for the world that you want to live in. That you want your children to live in. Or if you don't have any children, what you just want this world to look like and live in. That you can thrive in. That humanity can thrive in. But as I always say, that does not start until you start to do that work and get serious about it. And at this point, I am making a plea to tell you to get serious about it, because we have no more time to just be playing around. We have no more time. Just think and wait for someone else to do this, for someone else to talk about it, for someone else to fight about it, for someone else to push through it. Because there are too many forces out there trying to shut it down in every way possible. And we see the results of what happens when that allows to seep in. For instance, the most notable case of that is the clips that were going viral with Miss Amanda Seales and that surrounded video. And for anybody who doesn't know what that is, so basically Amanda Seales, who is an actress, now activist as well, she basically debated 20 different Black conservatives, and they talked about many different issues that affected the Black community, in particular reparations, white supremacy, or just the political climate that we're going in, Black on Black crime, and all these different objectives. So many of their talking points they use to deny us the ability to read, deny us the ability to write, deny us the ability to go into certain public places, to have our own money, to have our own land, to have our own house, to function as human. These same talking points are coming out of the mouths of people that look like us, that come from the same places as us, but they have truly been indoctrinated and internalize a lot of the anti-Blackness, the racist rhetoric that is forced upon us because we exist. In applying what I'm talking about, I saw it another way. A lot of us have internalized what is being told, and the ways in which we as a community have some ways normalized this. Because going back to what's going on in DC, with the high military and police presence, a lot of people were arguing that, yeah, we do need to be safe. Well, it does, it does get a little rough around here. So, maybe them being there was a part is beneficial, is can actually help cut down crime. Not realizing they're actually there trying to incite violence, trying to engage negatively with people, trying to promote an image that shows that we can control you, we can oversee you, we can bully you, we can do whatever we want. Install the feelings of fear, the feelings of control, and the feelings of assimilation, which once again are the same tools of that racist playbook that they have been using, especially in relation to Black people and people of color. But the part that really gets me about this, though, that really bugs me, is that when we do win, when we do overcome, when we do fight back, these very same people are going to benefit from it. Who believe we don't need reparations, who don't believe that, white supremacy exists, we got to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, who believes that we don't have culture, that we have a negative culture, that we are all violent, and that, Black on Black crime is such a bad problem because we are just so negative and wrong and bad to each other, or deny each other of our experiences. But this is what happens, in particular, going back to the Amanda Seales video, that's what happens when we police ourselves. And that creates a feeling of frustration, because it's like, why wouldn't you just fight along with us in the beginning? Because you're going to benefit from it regardless. But once again, going back to the history, I can guarantee you during the Civil Rights Movement, there were Black people who didn't want to rock the boat, who thought that protesting, who thought them getting arrested every day was only going to make things worse, so we shouldn't be involved. We shouldn't deal with that. We don't need to be protesting. We just need to make the best of what we're doing. Make the best of where we are. During my research, when I did Mac Miller Park, and I was learning about the segregation that led to the park being created in just that time of rural Georgia, I found an interesting article about how basically the black people of that town, when it came to segregation, literally arguing that to keep the segregation, but they just wanted it to be equal. They just wanted to save themselves from the violence. They just wanted to, make sure that, they got the good textbooks, that they got all the class materials, or they got, they got to keep their businesses and their streets and the stuff that they went to, but they didn't mind being separate. And that made me kind of think about this in this moment of how they really were just trying to make the best of that reality because they felt that was the safest for them. Not knowing that basically we were headed to being integrated anyway. But just think about it. When you look at the slave narratives and slave accounts or slave papers, I remember the slave narratives in particular. There was a book of that, but the different kind of experiences from people who survived slavery or talked about their time in slavery. There were people who wanted to make the best of it. There were people who just wanted to just survive it and just deal with it. And then there were some people who would run and tell when people tried to run away, when people was talking back, when people weren't doing what they were supposed to do. They existed because they thought that was the best way to keep them safe. That was the best way to keep the peace. But in all those different scenarios, when we as a people overcame that and fought back and protested anyway, those very same people who were against it or neutral or believed that we were less than, everything along that lines, they benefited from that same work. My point in saying all that is don't let that deter you from the work that needs to be done. We need to have the same energy with them that we have with these fascists and these racists. And that energy is, regardless of what you do, we going to fight and do what we need to do to achieve liberation. We ain't going to build community with you. We're not going to rationalize and seek common ground with you. No. If that's how you feel, that's how you want to move, that's what you believe in, all good to you, bro. All good to you. All power to you. But that's not going to stop me from achieving, growing, and connecting with other like-minded people along that lines who want that same thing and want to be in this fight with me. We're going to overcome this. We're going to push through this. Because once again, referring back to the history, if we did it then, we can do it again. Remember, the beauty of negativity is knowing that all this can exist in the same space. And that just as much as there is room for the evil to exist, it gives weight that the positive and the beauty and the good can thrive too. All right. Well, I am on all social medias. If you want to connect with me and stay encouraged, that's why I really want to push us to do, including myself. I am on all social medias, facebook.com, Queen Lady AC. Instagram and Threads is _I am Lady AC. On X and Twitter, it is capital I am Lady AC, and Substack Lady AC. But until next week, y'all. Bye.